Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do much research during the first trimester because of how sick I was. But when finally that cloud lifted at about week 16, I got to focus back onto my pregnancy and the kind of birth I wanted to have, and kind of get into this whole pregnancy mindset. And that came with its own whole set of challenges, because there's so much information out there, and there's so much fear-based information that it's quite overwhelming for a new mom, for a first-time mom. So I don't know, like, if everyone feels this way, but the first book that I downloaded when I was pregnant was What to Expect When You're Expecting. I think a lot of moms do that. I was like, I wouldn't even buy the book until I was pregnant because I didn't want to jinx not getting pregnant. So as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I downloaded the book, but I couldn't read it for 16 weeks because I was so busy throwing up and crying myself to sleep with morning sickness. But when I finally got to it, and when I started to feel better, I literally got through the first few chapters, and I was just like, this book should be renamed Bad Stuff That Can Go Wrong with My Baby. Because that seems like all it was one negative thing after another that could possibly go wrong with my baby. And I didn't really want to focus on that, because I thought, my baby's going to be healthy. I'm healthy. My baby's going to be healthy. Everything's going to be fine. I don't want to focus on the negative. And so I looked for other books. I looked for other things to read, and it turns out there's not a lot of good stuff out there. I mean, I found one or two that I liked, but most of it was stuff that can go wrong, stuff that's bad about pregnancy, stuff that's scary about childbirth, and that didn't resonate with me. That wasn't what I was about. That wasn't how I wanted to do things. I wanted to do things in a positive way. I wanted to create this reality, this positive reality for me and my child and my birth, and how this was all going to go. And that really got me thinking about, how is it going to look? What kind of birth do I want to have? And for me, being able to picture something and how it's going to go down is incredibly important for my own calmness and my own presence of mind. So it's kind of got me thinking about the different options that are out there to actually give birth. I thought if the mainstream is all this negativity and all of this stuff that can go wrong, what are the alternatives? I don't know about you, but I had this idea in my mind that you just kind of go to the hospital and magically you're given this baby when you come home, and it's all beautiful and easy and happy. And then when I got into the literature, when I got into the reading about it and what's kind of going on in hospitals, it's amazing that we have hospitals. They're great resources if you need them for anything that goes wrong with your pregnancy, and I'm so happy that they're there, especially considering what I've gone through in the last week or so. I'm super grateful that hospitals exist. But I got to thinking for myself, I really like to do a home birth. Midwives had delivered babies at home for hundreds and hundreds of years, and I did the research. They seemed really safe. I watched Ricki Lake's documentary on the business of being born, and I'm sure a lot of people have.
How often do you get to see a fully natural birth?
Rarely.
Almost never.
Everywhere else in the world, you see midwives attending 70 or 80% of all the births, and the United States stands alone.
You want to talk big lobby, big dollars, they can kind of call a lot of shots. Accusations tonight that some hospital...
I just thought, hey, this is cool. This is something that resonates with me, and I think that I can do this. And again, going back to my mantra of, this is going to be a positive experience. I'm going to stay away from the negativity, and I'm just going to focus on the good in pregnancy as opposed to the bad. And despite the morning sickness and despite the weird things happening with my body, this is what I want to focus on. And so home birth for me was this beacon of light, this positive, amazing, peaceful experience that I could give to myself and my child. Because when I visualize what happens in a hospital, and like I said, don't get me wrong, I could deliver in a hospital. I don't know, the end of the story is not yet written. But visually, like when I think about what happens in a hospital, there seems like there's bright lights and there's harsh noises and the bed's not as comfortable. And then when I think about delivering at home, I think about, I can light candles and I can have the music that I want playing, and I can take a shower if I want to, and I can eat the food that I want to, and I can just be surrounded by the people and the environment that I want. And that's just me. Like, think about, then this new child comes into the world, and he's lived in a perfectly safe enclosure and environment that's been very much the same for him for almost 10 months. And when he comes out into the world, what's better for him? Is it better for him to come into these lights and into this kind of stark hospital, or is it better for him to come into a place that's calm and peaceful? And so for me, home birth was really, really, really what I want, and I sincerely hope that I can have it. But things are not working out exactly as I have planned, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a minute.